Ladies and gentlemen, this is Evangelist Isaac Iwaze.
And this is Osiri Minavaze.
Where tonight we're going to be discussing something that is very important, and I believe that is going to interest every one of you. We're going to be talking about African Americans and science education.
Okay, so when you look at science education and African Americans, personally, I'm an engineering student at a university. And when I actually go to class, my engineering classes, I always find myself looking around, and just checking, just the environment, who's in my class. And I notice that the demographic in the class does not consist of that many black people. And I feel like that's actually a very big problem in, the day and age that we're in right now, which basically runs in technology. If you look at, let's say, 10 years from now, every person that I encounter in this engineering class is actually going to be at a position where they're in control of things, because the future is moving towards technology. So if you think about it, the people in this class will be in control of things that are actually in control of our future. So basically, when you look at African Americans, from my personal experience, I noticed that African Americans are very interested in, getting into the entertainment industry. By entertainment, I mean, becoming an athlete, or let's say maybe a rapper. I know there's no problem if you want to become the next, Michael Jordan or LeBron James or maybe Kanye West. But the thing is, entertainment will only go so far. Black people really need to make the difference that they can. And in order for us to do that, we must stand on top of the industries that control the foundation of our society, which is going to be technology in the next few years or so. If you look at it this way, how many times does someone actually need to watch a game of Michael Jordan before they, let's say, log in a transaction on their phone? They don't need Michael Jordan for anything, actually. They may watch Michael Jordan and be like, oh, he was a great basketball player, but they don't actually need him to function. In order for us to be in a position where we control how the world moves and are on a standing where we can actually, implement things and basically be in charge of things, we have to be needed. In order for us to be needed, we have to take control of the skills and attributes required for the future generation, which, from my perspective, and just the society in general, is science and technology.
Well, that was excellent, and I strongly agree with my son. I think one thing that we need to understand here is, first, the importance of education. Now, I want the blacks here in America to understand how important education is, especially the younger generation of African Americans. Well, like I've always said, knowledge is something that cannot be taken from you. When you possess that knowledge, it stays with you for the rest of your life. And that knowledge can only be obtained in the process of education. Now, when we talk about science and blacks in this country, I'd like to say that this is an area that I personally will advise the blacks in America, especially the younger generation, like I said before, to create an interest, to have an interest, because science has virtually taken over human life. Now, it is not because other aspects of education is not important. Conventional education is important, vocational education is important, but we want to be able to see blacks that will take rocket from here to the space. Africa has to be able to build their space station. We don't need to go to Russia, to China, to United States. We need to have our space station. We need to have that because it is very important. And that is the only way that African continent can be recognized and can be respected. And so I encourage the blacks in this country, African Americans, because they're Africans, I encourage them to go into colleges and universities and major, especially in sciences. But it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone has to be a scientist. No. But the reason we are discussing about science is because science has virtually taken over the world. And we need more blacks to participate and take over and be part of this technology so that we can redefine our destiny and be able to say, yes, Africans have created this, Africans have done this, Africans have done that. Many of you will say, well, Africans have already created a lot of things. Most of the things you see today, they were created by Africans, but their names were not embedded or were not stamped on it. I can fully understand that, and I agree with you. But the thing is that this is a new generation. And with this new generation, the system is completely different. So we need a new generation of African Americans or blacks that will create their technology and be able to take the continent of Africa to the space. The other time, I was watching a program and somebody, some kind of individuals were talking about the space programs and all that. And one of them said that the new technology that has just come out in China is this satellite that they have created, and they want to put this satellite on the dark side of the moon. It was mind-boggling. And we realized that China, up to the early 80s, we're facing a lot of challenges. And within a short space of time, China has risen from the position of poverty to be the biggest economic giant in the world, not just in the area of market economy alone, in the area of technology also. So Africans can do that. Africa has a lot of potentials. Africans are very smart. The major medical doctors, surgeons here in America, computer scientists that are holding very complex technical positions in corporations around this country, they are being held by Africans, especially Nigerians. So Africans are very smart. So it is my advice that African Americans should check into school and gear their interest in science education rather than conventional education.
I definitely agree with everything my dad said. That's basically everything. For me, for just a few more points, just to close everything up. If you're a black kid or, just a black guy watching this video, a few points for you to know. I would say just get yourself more involved in the scientific community. I guess keep yourself informed. I mean, you don't have to be a scientist just to know what's going on, because you have to know what's going to affect your future. And it would be better if we had more black people that knew what's going to affect our future, there may already be people out there producing things, just like my dad said. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people out there that could be doing things. Black people, we want more. Let's have more and more and more of black people, getting in charge of these industries. Right now there could be so many. If you're a black guy, in the science community watching this video, awesome. Basically this message is just so that we can transmit to other black people to basically motivate ourselves, so that we can just be aware that technology and science will end up ruling us, and we need to definitely be more involved in that, that area.
Well, that was excellent. Just in conclusion to that, like I've said before, science is extremely very important. And if you are good in chemistry, physics, just go for it. But on the other hand, conventional education is good. If you say, well, of course, I don't know much about chemistry and physics, so I cannot be a scientist. That is fine. I still advise that you have to get education, even if it's conventional education, even if it's vocational. Every aspect of education is extremely important. The reason we talk about science education is because that is the direction the world is going. So we want Africans to compete with the rest of the world, with the rest races. And that is the area we need to focus our attention. But if you don't know much about science, don't feel very bad about yourself. You are still on the right track. The most important thing, like I said before, is to get an education. And so on this note, we want to thank you for taking your time to listen to this program. And we're going to be coming up with more programs, and we hope that you will enjoy it. And like we have always said before, please take your time to express your opinion and make your comment, and let us know exactly what you feel, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.